Hi everyone, my name is Alex. Welcome back to Jungle Citizens, and today is part 1 of our plant tour. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a very close-up look of some of our amazing collection. Now we want to stress at this point, as with all of our videos, we are showing you the ground reality. This is not a manicured space, it is in a forest. I mean, I've been working all day, so you can see I have holes in my shirts and I'm sweating, but this is very much a ground eye view of how we see things. This is now the end of the monsoon, and this entire project is a work in progress. These are very long-term projects, and we've been here only 2 years. So bear that in mind. What you're not seeing is a perfect manicured landscape, but what hopefully you're going to see is some really cool and some pretty rare plants. So we're going to start over here. This is the famous Anthurium luxurians. This is someone that I've had this plant now for, I think, 4 years, maybe, something like that. You can see it's got a little hole there where a caterpillar has decided he'll give it a try, but he obviously didn't like it very much. I think this plant is absolutely fantastic. It is incredibly beautiful. It's like dinosaur skin almost, and it's surprisingly robust. This is a plant that was incredibly valuable just a few years ago, but the prices luckily now is starting to come down, which is really good for ordinary collectors, because these are plants that actually should be available to people. Look at that. That has got to be way bigger than my head. I mean, if ever a plant could be considered sexy, this would probably be it. It's one of those plants that people got so excited about, especially over COVID when everyone was locked indoors. And if I do the Kaylee Ellen head test, as it always was. That guy's pretty big, I think, no? So yeah, this is one of my real favorites. It's a mother plant of ours, and it's one that hopefully, I mean, you can see there's an old inflorescence here that's gone old, that we haven't had any chance to do anything with because we've been so busy with so many other things. But once we get everything more settled, this will be quite an interesting one to be hybridizing and also growing pure ones off. So for all the interest of hybrids, it has to be said there's something really nice about having pure species. So one of the things that we're trying to do is collect a few individuals that are different genetic individuals rather than just clones of this plant, so that we can make proper pure anthuriums. So over here we have what was actually sold to me as Anthurium subsignatum. I don't think it is. I actually think it's a hybrid of subsignatum with crystallinum from the research that I did from Esoterica Exotica. They have a really amazing page on anthuriums that's well worth a read if you're interested in them. Now, this is a very beautiful plant. It's got huge, as you can see. We've got 2 of them, which have actually become 4 now. They've split. You can see lots of inflorescences are coming here. So this is actually currently a receptive female, so she could be pollinated. I have tried so many times to pollinate this plant successfully, and I've managed to get it pollinated. I've managed to get berries. Mostly the berries will fall off before they ripen on the entire inflorescence. 3 or 4 times I've had berries ripen. I've gone through all the berries and I've ended up with, let's say, more than 1,000 berries checked, 1 single viable seed. So I've tried crossing them together, I've tried crossing them with other anthuriums. The only viable seed I've managed to get out of it is when I crossed it again with my big mother Magnificum hybrid. And we're going to show you that in a minute. So do stay on the video, because that is a really amazing plant. Come over here and you will see there's another one. This is the same. Again, we have the Anthurium subsignatum, which I think is subsignatum crossed with crystallinum. There's a lovely new leaf growing there. You get that really amazing kind of delta shape. So then over here we have a very large billietiae that we keep taking cuttings off, and you can see is growing up the pole. So this guy was a really big mature plant that we had as a top cut, and as it's grown out and as the monsoon has come, it's become a very unholy mess, but also still a very beautiful plant. So we'll take a whole bunch of cuttings of that as we move, and then we'll be able to make a whole load of new plants. Then if we come over here, all around me there's Anthuriums. So these are all Anthurium Crystallinum hybrids. There's some Stanthes there, I think they're called. This is Schismattoglottis wallichii. This is a really beautiful ground cover plant, actually. It's very overrated. Schismattoglottis in general. If you live in a climate that is a kind of a wetter tropical environment, this is a really, really amazing one to be planting as ground cover. And lots of different types of variegation that come naturally within this genera. This is an Alocasia pink dragon from Talking Shade. And then over here we have a whole bunch more Anthuriums. So these are all Magnificum hybrids. So it's a Magnificum cross with a Magnificum hybrid. So you can see they're very, very lovely plants. Because they're kept in quite high shade, it means that they're very dark in colour. But actually that's something that I really like. So these are plants that you can have in a very low light environment. I know a lot of you guys that are growing plants indoors, you're often using different grow lights. Here actually I kind of do the opposite. I do whatever I can to get things as dark as possible, because actually for us, considering the humidity and considering the climate, it's the rainforest that really excites these plants, you know. As soon as they get too much light in this kind of a very hot, humid environment, they really start to suffer. So we've got a few more of the papillilaminum hybrids. You can see they're a little bit darker. The shape is very different. And we've got these all over the place. We've planted them in the ground. We've planted them in pots. We've planted them in stone. Everywhere. Oh, our dogs are making a rabble, as they very often do. So as we go over here, these are a few of the holdbacks that we have from the Anthurium Magnificum hybrids. So just because they have slightly different leaves, if you see they're a little bit, this one is a little bit longer, it has a little bit of a unique form. Excuse me, Junie, that's totally unnecessary, we're filming. Come on now. Do excuse my dogs. Same with this one, like really, really nice pattern, very, very strong veins, but very, very slim. And then this one is actually my personal favorite. Has really, really slim, but very nicely defined veins. Lovely new leaf coming there. So these ones we're holding back because excuse me, because we want to be crossing them back to each other and hopefully getting a little bit more of that out. This guy, this is one that struggled a little bit in the monsoon. It's from Equigenera, which I'm sure is a nursery that you guys know. And this is Anthurium nigrolaminum Gigi. There is another name for it, but I can't remember what it is right now. It's a very nice plant. It had actually started rotting back because the monsoon here was super heavy. So to give you guys an idea, between the 1st of June and the 1st of October, we received in excess of 5.5 meters of rain, which is madness, and is something that our plants in some cases really like, especially when they're in the ground in good areas, but when they're in pots, they really are occasionally suffering from that. We're going to start over here with all of our Anthuriums. Let's pick this guy up. This is one of our seedlings, lovely new leaf is coming there. That's an Anthurium papillilaminum cross with an Anthurium Magnificum hybrid. So this has been crossed here by us, and we've actually got a whole bunch of its siblings. So there's some that we hold back and really want to grow up. Have a look at that. It's a beautiful leaf. So these are really amazing plants. They get to have a really good leaf size. They keep that really dark color, which has a really strong impact. And you can see there's lots of different kind of growth patterns because it's a first generation hybrid, which means that you're going to see different elements of both parent plants coming out. Because the papillilaminum was the seed parent, you'll see a stronger connection with the Anthurium papillilaminum. But still, as you can see, the veins here, let's go to this one. The veins of that Magnificum are starting to come through in a way that you don't see so clearly. So this is a really beautiful velvet Anthurium. I don't know if you can see the sheen in that. But these are fantastic statement plants, and we've got bunches of them, as you can see. Here's some more. Oh, the leaf is stuck. There you go, look at that new leaf coming out. Super dark colour. So this is one of my favourites actually. Anthurium papillilaminum is a real favourite of mine, and these hybrids have come out really beautifully. I myself, I have a bit of a thing for really dark coloured leaves. I really like it when there's a very dark leaf and with nice contrast. So as we move over here, this is very interesting, because what you're going to see with these is you're going to see the reverse of that hybrid. So the seed parent is the Anthurium Magnificum hybrid, and the pollen parent is the Anthurium papillilaminum. So what you see with these guys is that they look an awful lot more like the Magnificum hybrid, and that is because that's the mother plant. So they always take more traits from their mother than their father, essentially. Now these guys are again very interesting. They're a little bit younger, as you can see. They've got that very nice kind of dark leaf, but to be honest, in many of them, the papillilaminum element is actually not so clear. Let's see if we have any others here. Here maybe this guy is a little bit darker, the shape is a little bit different. But this is something that could get a little bit interesting over time, because we're going to have a chance to cross them back. And as you can see, we don't have perfect leaves over here. We're in an evergreen forest, which means that we have lots of animals that are eating our leaves, but to be honest, as long as the plant is happy, then we are happy. So okay, let's move over to here and see these guys. This is a hybrid of Anthurium pedatoradiatum and Anthurium Magnificum. So these again we have bred here. Let's get a couple of examples. There's a whole bunch of them here. That's a nice one. So you can see similar size leaf, but very, very different. So the one on the right hand side is starting to get that kind of the fingers of the pedato, and this one is maintaining more of a kind of a traditional leaf shape. So these guys are going to be very interesting to watch grow out. We don't really know what's going to happen. And actually I've just taken some more seeds off this plant. The interesting thing about the mother plant and all pedatoradiatums is that they take maybe 10 to 12 months for the seeds to actually mature. So some Anthuriums you'll get seeds in 3 or 4 months, and in others they will take a very, very long time. Then we go over here. This is a little warocqueanum. This is actually a tissue culture plant, I think. It was sold to me as a seed plant, but it very clearly arrived not as a seed plant. Still tiny little guy, but very nice. This is one that with a little bit of love can get to be a really good size, and again one that we'd quite like to get a few more of. Now here's a weird thing, and I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is apart from that it's a begonia, and it's another one that Talking Shade had brought over. Sandeep, you're going to get a lot of shout outs over the coming walk. Beautiful thing, it's growing quite well. We've only had it a few weeks. Hopefully it's going to survive the shock of the move, because that could be quite a lovely thing to have growing up in a nice shady area. And then this is Anthurium angamarcanum type 2, I think it is. It's another equigenera plant, and it's taken its sweet time, I have to say. It did struggle with the move to here from our last place. All of our plants did, but this one struggled a little bit more than others. And again, you can see some lovely little caterpillar holes because we are in a forest. And everything you can see is completely organic also. We don't use any fertilizers, we don't use any chemicals, we don't use any pesticides. We try and do everything in such a way that nature and us are in harmony and happy with each other. But that is a very nice plant. That, with a couple of years of love, can turn into an absolute monster. And then, this is the one that I was telling you guys earlier. This is, and it is currently possible to pollinate. Actually, I did pollinate this a couple of days ago, and because the stigmatic fluid is still coming out, I'm going to have to put some more on it. So this guy, this is my favourite plant, or one of my favourite plants. There's a lot of my favourite plants, you've probably noticed. This is a hybrid of the Anthurium subsignatum cross crystallinum and the Anthurium Magnificum hybrid that I'm going to show you very shortly. That's one of my mother plants. So, as I said before, maybe 1,000 odd seeds I went through with berries I went through with no seeds inside them, and finally, eventually, one seed came out that was actually viable, and that created this. So this is really a stunning plant. It's truly unique. Many people consider the subsignatum hybrid to be sterile. I think with many anthuriums, if you just keep at it, then you will end up reaping a reward eventually. Next one along is Anthurium moronense. This is also a very, very cool plant. It has a very unusual shape. I really like this kind of heavy lobed trident shape. That's something that I really like. So you can actually see that with the next plant I'm going to show you. This is an Anthurium falcatum. This one is also an equigenera plant. And again, it shows a very similar kind of like a T shape. And I think it looks really nice. These plants can both size up. Because they're in pots, they're a little bit limited. But yeah, we'll be planting them out in our next place. Okay, so over here we have one of a few of our variegated Anthurium Magnificum hybrids. These guys came from our own seeds, which is super exciting. So we've made thousands of Anthurium seedlings. Very, very few of them come out variegated, but you can see here the variegation is very, very strong. So of course these we're all holding back because we want to be crossing them to each other. We're going to show you a few more in part 2, because this is one of the smaller ones, but we have some bigger ones. There's one more here which is, it was showing some nice lime green variegation, as you can see there, and a little bit here on this more kind of eaten pockmarked leaf. The latest leaf that's come out doesn't look like it has any variegation, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. One more thing before we stop for today. What we've just walked around is actually a seed bed. So it gives you a little idea to see our soil, which is this kind of lovely dark stuff. At a later episode we're going to tell you a little bit more about our soil, but it basically involves using an awful lot of organic things, a lot of leaf litter, and sometimes we use different inputs, particular bits of biomass that we can get hold of. So we make all of our own soil because that's the only way that we can really guarantee the quality. And this seed bed is actually used for growing native tree species. So right now, of course, we've shown you all a lot of anthuriums and philodendrons and things like that, but our main work actually is in restoring ecosystems. And the only way you can restore ecosystems is if you are planting the native species, and especially in areas that are at risk, such as this area, which is the Western Ghats. We need to be really focusing on endemic and at-risk species. So what you can see here is a whole bunch of evergreen tree seedlings. These are, you see, now I have to remember the name, Polyalthia fragrans. There you go. Sorry, the filing cabinets in the mind sometimes get a little bit slow and you lose the name. This is Polyalthia fragrans, so this is a 30-35 meter evergreen tree. It is a monster. It is a true keystone species, you would say, of the Western Ghats. It's one of these very important evergreen forest trees. Evergreen means it keeps its leaves throughout the year, and that means that the environment beneath it stays cool, shady and moist even in the dry season, and that is what allows all of the orchids, all of the understory plants, all of the epiphytes to thrive. So big shout out to the native species, even though we have done a whole load of pictures, a whole load of examples of anthuriums and non-natives, but we promise you in the coming episodes we are going to show you more parts of our anthurium and ornamental plant collection, but we're also going to show you an awful lot more about forest restoration, native species, and what we do to nurture the forest back. Thank you very much. That's all for today, and we will see you very soon. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is not something that we've been doing before, so we forget all of the basics, but we keep being told that we have to ask you guys to please like and subscribe our channel. So I'll do that now, because every one of you that does helps us on our journey to do more of what we really believe and are passionate in, and that we're good at, which is to try and restore as many of the world's tropical evergreen forests as we can. So thank you very much, ×2, and we will see you soon. Shut your f***ing mouth! Hey!